Gyokeres is still not an Arsenal player. This is the sporting president, Berlandes, speaking last week. If the geniuses who are devising this strategy think that this puts pressure on me to make it easier for him to leave, not only are they completely wrong, but they are also making it more complicated for the player to leave. No one is above the interests of the club, whoever they are. This is the reaction to Gyokeres going on strike, of course, not turning up for pre-season training. Frank, have you ever found yourself in this sort of situation?
Yes, when I was in Strasbourg, I wanted to sign for Marseille and I couldn't because Strasbourg was too much. And when Chelsea came up, Strasbourg said, no, we don't want you to go. And I got very upset because I had a hard season with the board and I wanted to leave. So I pretended that I wanted to retire and that my father was so rich that I didn't need to work anymore and be worried for my future. And I don't know if they believed it, but they opened the door and they talked to Chelsea. And it's funny that I even talked to Colin Hutchinson saying, don't go above 2.5 million. Get up if they ask for more, and it's what happened. And I signed for 2.5 million. So yeah, I pretended that I didn't need football to be happy in my life, which was absolutely untrue because my father was a plumber and I needed money, I needed a life, and I needed a career. So that was a bet. But I think you cannot keep a player who doesn't want to stay. That's the thing. He can pretend that the strike doesn't bother him, that whatever he wants. If Gyokeres wants to go at a certain point, he will have to let him go because that's not worth the battle. He's going to lose the war. And it's what happened with me and so many others. If a player wants to leave, let him go.
What a backstory. My father's so rich, I don't need football.
Lover.
I know, very lucky there was a Wikipedia at the time.
It's not ideal for Arsenal, is it? In a sense that the more, and I don't condone not turning up for training and all that. If you're not getting your way, you've got to be a bit more professional the way you go about it. Because the more you annoy your ownership and your chairman, and the more he clearly is digging in, the only way to solve that is by Arsenal writing a bigger cheque. So it's not really helping the scenario unless Arsenal just go, oh yeah, here's another 10 million. Hopefully the chief executive, whatever he is, the owner of Sporting or the chairman is happy. Because when a chairman digs in, like he is, the only way around it is for Arsenal to cut a bigger cheque. So, and that might get the job done, but it might not.
Nedum, have you experienced other players? Have you seen this happen before?
To a certain extent, yes, because you do see some players that have that move that potentially lined up. And in fairness, it always seems to end up with the player moving, as Frank was alluding to there, because keeping a player that doesn't want to be there can be quite disruptive. Sometimes it can be, on a day-to-day basis, like Gyokeres not turning up to training, that's one thing. But what happens if he turns up and now he's going around and just kicking some of his teammates? I think one thing that happens is the way the clubs tend to get you back, you might start paying fines, for example. But in reality, like, this is probably going to end up with Gyokeres going there because he's decided to burn that bridge. But the hope is that Arsenal don't firstly see this as like a character flaw with him, but secondly, they can bring that money out and say, we will bring you across. Because one thing's for sure, this chairman, he's adamant that the price is going to be the price. And I think from his interest, that's the way things should be. But for now, Gyokeres is in this really awkward position because he's put all his eggs in this basket. If it doesn't work out, then, yeah, good luck to him.
I've seen a player get his big move and then go on strike. You know that story, didn't you? Mark Viduka.
No.
He got his big move from Croatia Zagreb to Celtic after we played them in the Champions League. And he was a right freaking handful. Ask Alan Stubbs and Matt Reaper.
Right.
They come off, their noses were all over the place, and he was brilliant up front for Croatia Zagreb. And so we said, we've got to sign this guy. So Celtic signed him. And then he, in the 98-99 season, and he arrived at Celtic Park and then he trained either one day or 2 days and then he disappeared. It's amazing.
Brilliant.
And we were all like, where's Viduka? And somebody went, he's gone missing. And he'd gone back to Croatia. Something had happened within the contract that they'd promised him and he wasn't happy.
Right.
So he sodded off. So we actually signed a player.
He was quite an interesting character, wasn't he, Mark Viduka?
Yeah, he was a nice guy, Viduka. He was a nice guy, but he was his own man. And Fergus McCann, who was the Celtic owner at the time, actually was over in Zagreb basically looking for him. We used to laugh about it, the boys. Honestly, we used to come in every morning and you say, how do players cope with that? Players saw the funny side of it.
Yeah.
We had the front line of Mark Viduka and Henrik Larsson. But at that point, we only had the front line of Henrik Larsson.
Right, because
the big Aussie was on the missing list. And we just found it so funny. But he was in Croatia and the club owner had to go to Zagreb to first of all find him and then convince him to come back. And you can only imagine when he came back into that dressing room.
Yeah, the stick that he
The
got.
absolute pelters he got from the boys was incredible. But listen, some players with their mentality, it can happen. If they just don't get what they want, then they just do things their own way. And clearly at the moment, Gyokeres is doing that.
A lot more stories, of course, on Extra
Not really,
Time,
no.
which you can. Yeah, no, there will be. Not from
more.
you, but maybe some other interesting ones. Be sure to check that out over on YouTube.